The relentless August sun blazed overhead as I made my way down the parked, dusty road. My muscles throbbed under the burden of an oversized backpack, and a cumbersome gym bag sweat cascaded down my face, saturating my black t-shirt and marking it with streaks of white. My socks and sneakers were utterly drenched. "Liam, time is of the essence." My mother's voice resonated, from up ahead somehow brimming with vitality. Despite the sweltering heat, I muttered softly to myself, urging my legs to quicken their pace. How she managed to stride so assuredly in this weather was a mystery to me. Her white-dyed hair was pulled back into a tidy ponytail, bouncing with each confident step she took. In contrast to my discomfort, she appeared entirely unfazed by the heat clad in her crisp white t-shirt as west rolled past towering fences that shielded opulent vacation homes, their splendor finally obscured from sight. Mom paused before the imposing iron gate, deftly retrieving a set of keys with an air of familiarity. With a swift motions, he released the lock and pushed the door wide open. A pristine white gravel path unfurled ahead, meandering gracefully through meticulously trimmed bushes and trees. It opened up to an expansive terrace featuring a stunning porch on one side. I observed a broad paved path leading to the garage, bordered by a lush green fence that harmonized perfectly with the designer courtyard. Everything about the place exuded a sense of meticulous planning. A recreation area, unfolded, adorned with a barbecue and stove alongside a grand table that seemed to proclaim opulence and authority. The arrangements were meticulously crafted to guarantee a continuous showcase of blossoms, or produce from April to October. Upon entering the cool, shadowy embrace of the house, we found a refreshing solace. Mom let out a satisfied sigh, placing her bag on the hallway table before making her way directly to the kitchen, and I railed behind her. The immaculate interior revealed a level of meticulous planning that resonated throughout. The space, a recreation area, unfolded, adorned with a barbecue and stove anchored by a massive table that seemed to proclaim affluence and authority. The arrangements were meticulously crafted to guarantee a continuous showcase of blossoms, or produce from April to October. Upon entering the cool embrace of the house's darkness, we found a refreshing solace. With a satisfied sigh, Mom placed her bag on the hallway table and made her way directly to the kitchen. I observed the immaculate interior with keen interest, always as it should be, from the polished surfaces of the countertops to the spacious refrigerator seamlessly integrated into the cabinetry. "What are you in the mood to eat?" I raised my voice, gazing into the well-stocked fridge. I behold an array of grilled chicken sausage and cheese, ripe tomatoes, crisp cabbage, refreshing watermelon, and the luxurious touch of both black and red caviar. Mother chuckled, stopping a chicken would have sufficed. Perhaps I shall indulge in frying some potatoes. The rumble of my stomach echoed in discontent. No, I'm absolutely famished. Let's simply enjoy it with some bread. However, my first order of business is to take a shower. Shall we embark on this journey together? Go ahead, she replied. Is he'll partake in a meal as I lingered? I offered a nod of appreciation as I made me way to one of the 2 indoor bathrooms. The opportunity to cleanse the grime of our journey beckoned, and I found myself marveling at the house. The owner clearly spared no expense, even constructing an outdoor bathroom in the backyard featuring a toilet shower room and a shed for garden equipment. The juxtaposition of the carefully curated front yard and the utilitarian backyard was striking, yet both spaces whispered of a dedicated owner. I sensed in the faintest of breezes, the atmosphere was heavy with the aroma of dried grass and sun-warmed soil. I observed Mom poised in stillness, her eyes gently shut, a solemn expression gracing her features. She appeared to be absorbing the stillness, relishing this uncommon instance of tranquility. Hesitant to disrupt her, I inched nearer to what appeared to be a wooden booth, crowned with a dark tank atop its roof. The structure was a masterpiece of craftsmanship, its pristine white paint gleaming under the light. The boards were fitted with such precision that the joints were nearly invisible. Small unglazed windows nestled just beneath the roof, while the door featured 3 vertical slots. Nearby clothes and towels were neatly hung, and a shoe shelf rested below. Completing the thoughtful design, I cautiously glanced within. The walls were adorned with a mosaic of warm hues, illustrating BS in Roman script. A gentle push of a regulator mounted on the wall would unleash a cascade of water not from a conventional shower head, but directly from the ceiling, enveloping a small patch in the heart of the cabin. The shelves were lined with an assortment of gels, shampoos, and washcloths. I stepped back, still in awe of the meticulous attention to detail, when I suddenly realized that Mom was no longer there. Believing she had returned to the house, I resolved to step inside and perhaps retrieve the food we had discussed as I strolled earlier. My thoughts drifted to Mom, the one who had nurtured me on Heron after Dad departed from his role as deputy director of a construction materials company. She vowed never to marry and seldom allowed herself a moment of respite. I had the fortune of visiting the seat twice a year, always content. Yet I couldn't recall the last time she had truly escaped for a vacation. As I wandered into the kitchen, my mind adrift in contemplation, I almost bumped into Mom, who, with a spark of enthusiasm, emitted a soft gasp of surprise as I stumbled backward. My instincts kicked in, and I reached out to steady her hands, grasping something entirely unfamiliar. Especially in the midst of her confusion and distress, I swiftly lowered my hands and retreated, murmuring, "Not quite." Mother cleared her throat, adjusting her shirt with a gentle motion. "There's no harm done," she remarked. "I found myself elevated beyond my typical state. I am merely on a quest to seek you out. Shall we venture to explore the river you spoke of?" I nodded earlier, appreciative of the diversion that resonates. "Well, allow me a moment to indulge." In a swift morsel, as I sifted through the fridge, extracting a chicken leg and a plump tomato, an unsettling sensation lingered, refusing to be dismissed. A subtle change had occurred in my perception of my mother. It was likely nothing, I reassured myself, merely the oppressive heat and the strange environment weaving illusions in my thoughts unbeknownst to home. This was merely the dawn of a summer that would transform the very fabric of my relationship with Mom. As we ventured into the woods, my thoughts still swirling from our earlier meeting, the forest wrapped around us in its refreshing embrace, a soothing relief from the sweltering heat. The atmosphere was saturated with the scent of succulent berries and earthy nuts, as a harmonious blend of bird melodies and the gentle whisper of leaves enveloped us. "Mother," I shouted, coming to the realization that she had pulled slightly. A head hold on a moment as she pivoted. I found myself on the brink of losing my balance. She'd a delicate nightgown, a choice that certainly surprised me as we made our way to the river. "What seems to be the issue?" she asked. Observing my reluctance, I took a deep breath, striving to maintain a calm tone. "Isn't that your nightgown, though?" She cast her eyes downward as though suddenly aware of her attire. This was resting atop my bag. Is it significant?" I shrugged, words eluding me, and we pressed on my sense, heightened by her presence, captivated by the delicate dance of fabric against her skin. With each subtle movement, the path unfolded to unveil a serene clearing by the river, where a wooden pier jutted out over the crystalline water beneath. The surface fish danced gracefully, while a picnic area beckoned with the question, "Aren't you going swimming?" For a brief instant, I found myself hesitating, a wave of self-consciousness washing over me. "What about you?" She gestured. With a wave, a hand waved away with indifference. "I left my swimsuit behind, so feel free to go on without me." Before I had the chance to reply, she was already making her way to the pier. I observed, captivated, as she approached the conclusion, and with no forewarning, plunged elegantly into the depths below. The nightgown embraced her form as she merged, revealing much yet concealing just enough. My heart raced as I shed my clothes, slipping into my shorts before plunging into the water. After her, the sudden chill was a refreshing diversion. From the tumultuous thoughts that danced in my mind, a blend of relief and apprehension washed over me. "Could you clarify what you mean?" With a soft sigh, she let her fingers glide through her damp hair. "I trust you recognize the strain that exists between us. It is unjust." I nodded, my voice lost in thessalence. She was undoubtedly right, that these emotions, whatever they might be, could not persist in the space where mother and son had paused. Her voice faded, and I felt an inexplicable pull urging me to step closer, unable to comprehend or defy its allure. We were so near now that the shimmering water was within my sight. "Mom," I inhaled slowly, my fingers grazing her cheek. For just an instant time seemed to freeze, and then with a sudden gasp she withdrew. "No," she said firmly, yet the tremor in her voice betrayed her resolve. "It is not possible, Liam, this is incorrect." The enchantment shattered and a tide of shame surged through me. "I apologize for my mumbling. I find myself at a loss, unable to meet her gaze." Mother inhaled deeply. "It's perfectly acceptable," she is, evidently making an effort to find her composure. "Both of us are weary. And in this setting it's all too simple, to become ensnared in the present. Let us simply move on from the past." I nodded, appreciative of the gesture she extended, and we glided back to the pier. In quietude, the burden of our recent misstep lingered palpably in the air as we emerged from the depths of the water. My eyes were drawn to Mom, the damp nightgown revealing more than it concealed, and a wave of guilt washed over me for the longing that persisted within. "I believe it's time for me to return to the house," Mom said, twisting the water from her hair. "What is the reason behind this? Why not linger and relish the swim? I shall begin the preparations for dinner." I observed her retreating figure, a tumult of emotions waging war. Inside me, a part of me yearned to reach out to her again, to complete the connection we had nearly forged. Yet deep down, I understood she was correct. We found ourselves unable to cross that line. Regardless of how alluring it appeared, with a heavy sigh, I plunged back into the water, yearning for the rhythm of my strokes to wash away the turmoil in my mind. Yet as I glided through lap after lap, the nagging sense that a profound change had occurred between us lingered, refusing to bead. Dismissed the remainder of this vacation unexpectedly presented itself. Lingering uncomfortably in the threshold, she flinched at the sound of my voice, then managed to conjure a smile. "Of course you may arrange the table as you wish." We toiled in quietude, the atmosphere heavy with the weight of unvoiced thoughts. As we gathered to share a meal, Mom finally broached the subject with Jimmy regarding the incident at the river, and I halted her with a raised hand. "It's all right. Mom, you were right. We managed to catch up. Rest assured it shall not occur again, I assure you." She nodded, a look of relief washing over her features. "That is quite favorable." We shared a meal, engaging in awkward small talk about the house and our upcoming vacation plans. Yet beneath the surface, I sensed a current of tension, a whisper of possibility, that lingered despite our words and our earnest efforts. As I lay in bed that night, gazing up at the strange ceiling, I sensed that this was far from finished. Curiosity stirred within me as I contemplated the mysteries that the forthcoming days might unveil. A door had swung wide, one that resisted closure, and I found myself uncertain about the desire to shut it at. All rest slipped through my fingers, while the day's memories looped endlessly in my thoughts. The sensation of my mother's skin beneath my fingertips, the way her damp nightgown adhered to her form, the expression in her eyes just before she withdrew, and deep down, I understood it was a mistake. We understood that these feelings were destined to remain unspoken, yet in the solitude of night, with only my thoughts as companions, it became increasingly difficult to recall why the dawn arrived with such haste. Sunlight poured through the curtains I had neglected to draw, and I could hear my mother bustling about in the kitchen, the aroma of coffee drifting into my room. Drawing in a deep breath, I braced myself for yet another day, opening normally as I descended the stairs. A flicker of hope ignited within, suggesting that perhaps normally was no longer the desire of either of us. Upon entering the kitchen, the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped my senses, and there stood my mother at the counter, her back turned to me. She hummed softly while preparing breakfast, clad in a light summer dress that swayed gently with her movements in the morning light. I spoke, my voice still heavy with slumber, and she offered a smile that seemed to linger just beyond the warmth of her "Good morning, Liam." My slumber was deep and restorative. "What about you?" shrugged as I pour a steaming cup of coffee. The rich aroma fills the air, inviting me to savor the moment. "Oh, you know me, I rise with the sun." She replied, we dined in quietude, the echoes of yesterday hanging heavily in the space that separated us. My eyes were drawn to her, captivated by the way the sunlight danced in her hair and the elegant curve of her neck as she savored her coffee. Mom broke the silence with a sudden suggestion. "We should explore the area, as there's a nice hiking trail nearby that's perfect for today." I nodded with gratitude. The suggestion seemed promising. Perhaps it would aid us in clearing our minds. She met my gaze, and I caught a flicker of something: relief, disappointment, before she turned away. A bit of fresh air and exercise will do us both good after breakfast as we embarked on the trail. The forest thrummed with the melodies of birds and the gentle rustle of leaves, infusing the air with air-refreshing vitality. For a time, we moved through an unparalleled silence. The exertion of our bodies served to alleviate some of the tension that lingered between us as we ascended a notably steep section. Mom faltered for a moment, and instinctively I placed my hand on her waist to steady her. She stiffened at my touch, and I swiftly withdrew, murmuring an apology as I averted my gaze from her. "It's fine," she responded gently, expressing her gratitude. And we moved forward. Yet an undeniable change lingered in the atmosphere. The air felt alive with a palpable tension, each unintentional touch of our hands or shoulders igniting a thrill within me. Upon reaching a clearing, we were greeted by a stunning panorama of the valley stretching out beneath us. Mom strolled to the edge, absorbing the scenery while I lingered, behind, captivated by the sunlight, dancing in her hair, forming a halo that left me breathless. "Isn't it beautiful?" She turned to me with a smile, and I replied, my eyes fixed on her beautiful face. Her smile wavered as she felt the weight of my gaze, and for a fleeting moment we simply stared at one another, the atmosphere charged with unvoiced sentiments and hidden longings. Mom was the first to avert her gaze, clearing her throat. "We should head back. It's getting late," she suggested. The return journey was steeped in silence, each of us ensnared in our own reveries. As we neared the house, Mom came to an abrupt halt, turning to face me. "Liam," her voice quivered just a bit as she said, "We need to talk about this. Did we grasp the weight of her words right away?" Inquired of my heart. "Are you resonating?" She nodded, inhaling deeply. "What's unfolding between us isn't right. We can't continue to pretend it doesn't exist. I know." I spoke softly, yet I can't suppress my feelings. Mom shut her eyes, a gesture that spoke of anguish. I too felt the weight of unspoken emotions, but as mother and son, we were bound by an unbreakable code. I took a step closer, the distance between us shrinking, allowing me to catch a glimpse of the tears welling in her eyes. "Can't we, Mom? We've never experienced such feelings for anyone." Until she gazed up at me, conflict evident in her eyes. "Liam, please, we can't do this," she said, yet even as the words left her lips, she remained rooted in place. We stood a mere 3 and apart, the air between us charged with an electric tension, offering her every opportunity to retreat. I leaned in, our lips brushing together in a gentle, tentative kiss for a moment. My mother remained still, but then with a soft whimper she returned. The kiss, it felt as though a dam had burst, releasing all the pent-up tension and longing that had built over the past few days, as our lips met with increasing fervor. My hands instinctively sought her waist, drawing her nearer, while her fingers wove through my hair until we reluctantly parted. We were both breathing heavily. Mom's eyes were wide, a mix of desire and shock in their depths. "We shouldn't have done that," she whispered. But she made no move to pull away. "But we did," I replied, am I tracing her cheekbone. "And I want to do it again." She closed her eyes, leaning into my touch. "This is wrong, Liam. So wrong. Does it feel wrong?" I asked, placing soft kisses along her jaw. She shivered. her hands gripping my shoulders. No, she admitted, God help me. It feels right, West, stood there for a long moment holding each other the line we just crossed. Stretching out behind us, I knew there was no going back. Now I knew that what we were doing was taboo, forbidden, but in that moment with Mom in my arms, I couldn't bring myself to care. What do we do? Now I asked softly. Mom looked up at me, a mix of emotions on her face, playing across her face. I don't know, she admitted, but we can't tell anyone about this. Ever. I nodded, understanding the gravity of our situation. It'll be our secret. I promised. She smiled sadly. Reaching up to cut my face, our secret, she echoed, before pulling me down for another kiss as we made our way back to the house hand in hand. I knew that everything had changed. The rest of our vacation stretched out before us, full of possibilities I had never dared to imagine before. It was wrong, it was forbidden. But in that moment, it felt like the most right thing in the world. That night, as we lay together in Mom's bed, our bodies intertwined, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held for us. How would we navigate this new complicated relationship once we returned to our normal lives? But as Mom snuggled closer in her sleep, I pushed to put those thoughts aside for now. I would live in this moment, savoring every second of our forbidden